Alright guys, today we're going to be painting this cute little koala. Here are the colors that you're going to need. You're going to need a little bit of white that we're going to use for the background with purple. You're going to need this teal color. You're also going to need plain white, brown, black, gray that we're going to lighten and darken, so that's why you have that extra white, a little bit of green, and you will also need pink. Just a tiny bit of pink, not a lot. The brushes that we will be using today are your big 2-inch brush. This is for the background. It makes quick work of the background. And then you will need 2 different sizes round brush, a medium size one and then a really small one. And then your medium size flat brush. Alright, so to get started, we're just going to take and dip our 2-inch brush in purple just a little bit, and we're just going to add some purple to the background. Now we're going to go straight into that white that we had right next to our purple, and we're going to paint the rest of our canvas with white only, and it's going to smooth out and make our background a really light purple. So after you've added a little bit of the purple, you're only using white. Alright, now that you have your purple, you're just going to wipe your brush. You don't need to wash it, just wipe it to pull most of that color out. And then you're going to take that teal color, just a little bit, just on the very tips of your brush, and you're just going to kind of sweep some of that teal through the top, through the middle, and then down here through the bottom. You can have a lot of teal, or you can just have a little bit of teal. It's completely up to you. Once you are finished adding the teal, you are finished with your 2-inch brush, so you can put that in your water bucket. And as soon as our background dries, we will be starting on our tree. Now that our background is dry, you're going to take your medium size flat brush, and you're just going to dip that edge in brown paint. We're just going to draw for right now. So from about a third of the way down, you're going to start a branch, and it just kind of comes in and then goes down to about a third of the way over from the left-hand bottom corner. And then you've got another branch that comes all the way up here that kind of folds in to this one, just like so. Then we have the other half of our tree that kind of comes up this way. This is going to make our nice little seat for our koala. Once you have your branches drawn, go ahead and fill those in. Now that we have our tree filled in, go ahead and grab your medium-sized round brush. We're going to make one more little branch up here. And it just starts about right here and kind of comes up to a point. It's not a huge, it's like a little branch that comes off of our tree. And now with a little bit of black, we're going to come in here and add some bark lines. Now again, if it's too much black, just go over it with brown. It really just kind of fades that right out. Black goes a long way. It's such a dark color. I'm just going to grab my medium size, kind of smooth out some of these harsh black lines. All right, now that you have your branch finished and you have your bark lines, we have to wait for our tree to dry. Right, with that small brush that we used to do our bark lines, go ahead and rinse that off, and you're gonna make a light gray, where this is what we're gonna draw our koala with. So just get a little bit of light gray on the tip of your brush, and his head is gonna set just about right here, and it's just a circle. So go ahead and draw with your paintbrush a round circle. His ears are half circles on either side of his head. All right, for his body, his back kind of comes down from his head, and it kind of curves in, and then it bumps out, and his little bum sets right in the Y of this branch. And this is part of his foot right here. And it just kind of rounds up. So you kind of just made like the letter J. Then from here, you have a little bit of like the bend of his leg, like his knee, and then his arm is hanging on to the tree up here, and it just kind of comes right on down and touches that bend of his leg. There is the outline of our koala. Now, with your smaller flat brush and that light gray, go ahead and fill him in. there is our koala body. Now we have to make him really look like a koala. So with that brush that we drew with, the medium-sized round brush, go ahead and get a little bit of white on it. And right inside his ears, you're just gonna do like little small brush strokes. I didn't wipe my brush. And this is gonna be like the fur part in his ears. And you wanna see those brush strokes. It just kind of comes down. There's one. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. You can kind of draw the outline and then go back in with your brush strokes. We're going to add a little bit of this white down around the edge, the bottom edge of his ear. And then around where his head was. So you can kind of see that paint line. We're just going to give him a little fluff. Now, if it's too much white, just go and use your gray that you painted your koala with. I'm just going to kind of curve that line around his head. I know he doesn't look like much yet, but we are still working on him. Alright, take some of that gray and darken it, that base gray. So add a little bit more black to your base gray. And we want it a couple shades darker. So just pull some of that base gray to the side. The base gray is the gray that you painted your koala. Add a little bit of black. You just want it a shade or two darker. Not drastic, just a shade or two. And we're going to come right inside here around his face with that darker gray. And you're still making those little brush strokes. It makes it look like there's fur. Then we're going to come around the top of his ears with that darker. See how he's getting a little fluffy? And we're going to make a shade kind of in between the two that we have so far. So not as dark as the one that you just made, and then lighter than, or darker, I'm sorry, than the lighter one. And we're just going to kind of come up at the top. So it'll be a little bit darker. You're not going to notice as drastic of a color change, and we're just going to do around that top edge. And I'm going to come in here around his face with some of that a little bit darker gray. Alright, now that we kind of have his head lined out, we're going to work on the fur around his body. So with the darker gray, you're just going to kind of do some of those wispy little fur all the way down his back, right along the edge that you painted. And you can come in with that next shade lighter, come right on in on the inside. Then with that darker shade that we used for the tops of his ears, we're going to kind of come in here. We've got to make this kind of stand out. So we're just going to do like a little line. This is his knee area. Got his leg coming in here. So this is just that knee bend. And then we've got his arm definition that we kind of have to do with that medium gray. And then we're going to come kind of down here and just do a little bit of the darker gray throughout the body. And if it's too dark, go over it with your base gray. Just with those little dash line brush strokes. We're just trying to make it look like he's got some fur, some dimension. And then we're going to add a little bit of dark fur up on his arm. And then I'm going to kind of wipe all this excess off just on my tray, not even in my rag. And I'm going to add some white in here. Some white right here at the feet. And I'm going to come back in here and add some white kind of right around this knee bend. And if it's too much white, come back in with that base gray that you have. I'm going to add a little bit of white through here. Come in here with some of that little bit of darker gray, but not too dark. It's in between the dark gray and the base gray. Now, with your really small round brush and the black paint, we're going to give him some little claws. We're just going to do 3 up here. Got to hold on to that tree tight. I'm going to do 3 down here at the base of his feet. Alright, to do his face, we have to let his face dry a little bit more. So we're going to use your small round brush, rinse that black off, and we're going to make some leaves. So with your green paint, we're going to have, and they don't really touch the tree, they kind of hang off of the tree. So leave a space between your leaf and the tree. So here's our first leaf. And we're going to do another one just below it, maybe a little bit smaller. Do another one below that one. And then up here at the top, we're going to do another one. We're just drawing right now. And then over here we'll have one. Oops, a lot of paint. Over here we'll have one. And then coming down from this corner, we're gonna have two. So almost to his head, but not really to his head. So they hang off the canvas and they just come on down. So there's one. And here's two. Now, with your medium round brush, we're just going to fill these in. Two more. I'm just going to kind of clean some of these edges up with my little one. I'm going to take a little bit of that teal that we used on our background and just kind of shade the top edge of this. Just so it's a little bit lighter, like the sun's hitting that top edge. All right, wipe your little round brush off, and then with the brown, we're gonna make like a stem for our leaf, and then the vine, it just comes kind of like all the way down. So it's like attached to the tree, and then it's part of that middle vein that runs down those leaves. You can do that for all of them, except for the two that are on the tree that we don't see. So these two are not going to have that brown vein. All right, by now your face should be pretty good and dry. So we're going to use that same small brush. We're going to put some black on it. We are going to do his little nose. So his nose is kind of right in the center. I'm going to pull it a little bit closer. There we go. It's just easier for me to reach and easier for you to see. And it kind of arches at the top. And then it's kind of straight on both sides. Kind of narrows at the bottom and then arches again at the bottom. Just going to cover that in with black. is his cute little nose. And for his eyes, they are half circles. So with that same small brush, you're gonna do like a little half circle. And then the bottom of the half circle is slightly arched. And just fill that in. My brush doesn't want to cooperate. Okay. Same thing for the other side. I think it kind of helps too if your black is a little bit thinner so that it glides across your canvas a little better. So again, kind of arch it up. And a slight arch underneath. And then just fill it in. Now with his nose, you're gonna take just a slightly lighter, just get a little bit of gray on that black brush. Don't wipe it or anything like that. And you're just gonna add some little arches on either side. So like a little right there on either side. You guys see that? Very slightly lighter than the black. Okay, now for around his nose, you're gonna lighten that base gray lighter. So take some of that base gray, still using your small round brush, and you're gonna want it to be a shade or two lighter. And this just kind of is right around his nose. So it kind of arches down on either side of his nose, kind of like parentheses. And he just kind of comes around his nose. And then with that darker gray that you are using for around his ears, gets a little mouth, and it's just like an M, a long letter M. And then that lighter gray is kind of filled in to the corners of each side of the letter M. And you could even go a little bit lighter. And then with that lighter gray, remember it's just like a shade or two lighter, you're going to add some fur on his face. So you're just going to do the same technique that you did on his body, only you're going to go outward from his nose and stuff. So around his mouth, you're going to come downward. And if it's too light, go over it with that base gray. And it just kind of comes down. Between his eyes. And then when you get up on the side of his eyes, it kind of goes out. And again, if it's too light, mine's kind of light, so I'm going to go back over it with this base gray. That base gray, we always come back to it. And then when you get to above his nose, you just go upwards. Up in between his eyes, up around his eyes. Just to make him look fluffy and furry. All right, go ahead and wipe that gray off and flip to the plastic end, and we're gonna do some highlights in his eyes. So with white paint, dip your plastic in the white paint, and we're gonna do a dot right there. We're gonna do a dot right there. Those little highlights. All right, you are finished with this small brush for right now. So just wipe it off and set it aside. Grab your medium round brush, and we are gonna make us some beautiful purple flowers. So with your medium round brush in the purple, and I'll scoot it back because we're gonna start down here at the bottom. And we're gonna do a flower right over here by these leaves. So it's a 5-petal flower. So you're just making 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're just gonna fill those in. And you're going to do that same flower over on the other side over here. You're going to do it twice. So you're going to do one kind of a pie, 5 petals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Kind of hangs off. Let's fill those in. And we're going to do one below it. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your flowers can be any color that you want them to be. You can do any color you want to on your background. And I'm only adding 6 flowers, but you can add as many as you want to. All right, I'm going to scoot it closer again so it's easier for me to reach and a little easier for you to see. I'm going to do another flower right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to kind of hang over his little ear. 5. I'm just going to fill this in. And I'm going to do 2 more up here. I'm going to do one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are like the easiest type of flowers you can do. I'm gonna do one more right here. Alright, you are finished with your medium round brush, so put that in the water. Grab your small round brush, and we're going to do the centers of these flowers. So we need to start with our pink first. And you're just going to start with the ones that are the driest, the ones that at the bottom where I started first. And you're just going to start from the center and pull out all the way around. You don't need a lot. And then, so we're going to do this to all of them, the pink. So start from the center and pull out. If you start picking up too much purple, wipe your brush and then dip it back in the pink. You just start from the center and pull all the way out. And I know your purple's wet, so if you start picking up that purple, just wipe the purple off your brush and then dip it back into the pink. And then wipe your brush, and we're going to do little white centers. So with your whites, kind of do the same thing but just not as far. So we're just adding little white centers. And last but not least thing that you need to do with your little brush is sign it. So get some black paint on there. And there you go. You have this adorable, cute little koala. If you like what we do here, hit the like button. If you want to be notified when we add more amazing paintings, hit the subscribe button. I know we do have a long list that we are all working on, so be looking for all the new cool paintings. Happy painting!